So I've been a long-time Brooks Cascadia fan. Spoiler alert, this year has been my favorite. But that doesn't mean it's perfect. So let's dive into my full review of the Brooks Cascadia 14. So first things first, let's start with the upper. The upper of the Cascadia does a great job of keeping your foot locked in. My feet are a bit on the narrow side, and the way the upper integrates with the laces really secured my foot into place. Unlike a lot of trail shoes, I found the Cascadia 14 to be pretty breathable. My feet never felt roasted, and they also didn't get soaked when I stepped in a puddle. It was a good balance of breathability and protection. The toe box is accommodating without being sloppy. Your feet have a good amount of room to splay, and I get no rubbing on my pinky toes, which I sometimes do in other shoes. Plus, there's even a lace garage on the tongue. So if you want a shoe that can run through a foot of snow, cross deep rivers, or you live in a rainforest, you may want to look at getting the Gore-Tex version of this guy, because in extreme conditions, your foot won't be coming out of the run dry. But like I said, in puddles, you'll be fine. So now let's talk about the midsole. Right off the bat, the Cascadia 14 lowers from a 10mm drop to an 8mm drop. I felt that this helped with the smoothness of the ride. I never felt like I was slamming my heel down or that there was a clunky heel-to-toe transition. There's a good amount of cushion on the Cascadia. I was able to feel the ground for a nice responsiveness, but it also protected me and provided comfort on longer runs. I even found it versatile enough to win a 10-mile trail race in them. The older models would not have been my first choice for this race. Part of the reason was the weight. The older models were like tanks and weighed almost 12 ounces. They felt a tad clunky and heavy. The new model is a bit under 11 ounces, which puts it more in line with a typical Brooks everyday trainer. So this is a pro because it lost weight, because it still isn't a light shoe. But even being on the heavier side, they felt smoother. So nowadays it seems like every shoe is getting a TPU or Pebax midsole, and they just have that nice bounce. The Cascadia 14 still has Brooks Biomogo DNA, which to me means the Cascadia doesn't feel as lively as some other shoes I've been running in lately, but that's something more to note than it is a con. Which brings us next to my very dirty outsole. I was able to test the Cascadia out on a lot of conditions and a lot of different types of trails. One thing I never worried about was the grip. While running on a hard-packed snow, loose dirt, or even a muddy mess, the Cascadia did a great job keeping a lot of traction. The aggressive, multi-directional lugs allowed me to be on my toes while climbing steep ascents, and keep from sliding when going downhill. I found the rubber outsole to be even grippier in wet conditions. I used them to run on slushy, snow-covered sidewalks and was way more confident than I would have been running in a road shoe. This is also great when you're dealing with slippery rocks. Speaking of rocks, in between the outsole and midsole is a rock plate. Thanks to this, I never worried about stepping on jagged rocks because I knew I'd be protected. I didn't really have any issues with the outsole, but just to be nitpicky, I did prefer the hexagonal lugs on the very tip of the toes from older models, and thought they did a bit better job when going up steep inclines than the current lugs. But most people probably won't even care or notice. Whether you're primarily a road runner that's looking for a great everyday trail shoe for those occasional once-a-week trail runs, or even a die-hard trail junkie, I think the Cascadia 14 has a little bit of something for everybody. The accommodating yet secure upper, the right amount of cushion in the midsole, and the versatile yet grippy outsole make this shoe a great option for almost any trail run. Yes, I know, there are more nimble and lighter options. There's also even more cushioned and protective options. But I think the Cascadia 14 checks all the boxes that a trail shoe is required to have, and it's been one of my favorites for a long time. So that's it for this video, guys. Thanks for watching. I have a couple more trail shoes that I am in the process of reviewing. Subscribe so you don't miss those. And as always, keep on running.